received an update on the latest forecast. I've also been briefed by Jared Moskowitz and our state's meteorologist, Amy Godsey. Today I've spoken with everyone from the general in charge of the Army Corps to Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia. We had a conference call with county officials, city mayors, legislators, and we've, I think we're communicating very well. I also spoke with President Trump, and he assured me that Florida will get whatever assistance that we need. The 5 p.m. advisory issued by the National Hurricane Center places on Florida's East Coast from Deerfield Beach to Sebastian Inlet on a tropical storm watch, which means that tropical storm force winds could arrive within 48 hours. This is likely to be expanded further north very soon to include places north of Sebastian Inlet in Brevard County, Volusia, and up the coast. So Floridians on the East Coast need to be prepared. If you have a plan, stick to your plan. If you haven't made preparations, please do so. We need to remain vigilant. We are not, certainly those communities are not outside of the cone. We just did a brief with Ken Graham and the state meteorologist, and they've actually moved the forecast slightly to the west. Not a huge difference to the naked eye, but they're starting to run models that bring it closer or even on to Florida's coast. That could produce life-threatening storm surge and hurricane force winds. So it's still too early to determine exactly where that may go, but we're not out of the woods yet. So our posture here has been, we're encouraged by the last 24 hours that have seen the forecast be pushed off Florida's coast, but we're also preparing for the fact that cone of uncertainty still includes a lot of areas on the east coast of Florida and even into central and north Florida. So we are staying prepared and we are remaining vigilant. We right now have the Florida Highway Patrol deploying 3 aircrafts to monitor traffic over 75, 95 in the Florida Turnpike. We're going to continue to monitor traffic flows throughout the state. We'll make whatever decisions we need to alleviate traffic if it becomes a problem. We also have gotten reports that the availability of fuel has improved. Part of that is, I think, because as the cone has moved away from our most populous county, the run on gas in Miami-Dade has declined, but nevertheless, the fuel trucks were working all through the night to be able to get more fuel to the gas station. So please monitor this situation, listen to your local authorities, and if they do issue warnings to evacuate, please heed the call. And with that, I'll take a couple questions.
Your call with the governors of South Carolina and Georgia, is it a case where they're having to worry about their own impacts now rather than helping you out, or are we still focused on helping out Florida and bracing for whatever it can bring to us? Well,
initially, earlier in the week, it was they were calling to check in on us, ask if we needed anything, and these are guys I'm friends with, and so it's I appreciated that. And then what I would do, I've called them and just said, hey, here's what we're seeing in some of the forecasting. We're seeing maybe a track east on this thing, so just letting you know. And they were seeing similar things, and so I think we're all kind of in it together. Just I obviously don't want it to hit the state of Florida, but I don't want it to hit Georgia and South Carolina either. We hope it goes further out. But I think that because there was so much attention on Florida, the fact that the NHC tweaked the model, I think people are now looking and are more concerned in those states.
In your calls with the county officials and the mayors, are they all sort of on hold right now as far as any more evacuation plans? Nobody's calling for evacuations.
Well, none of the evacuation plans that had been issued, either mandatory, partial, or voluntary, would have applied up to this point anyways, I think, correct? I think the earliest was tomorrow morning. And actually, if you look at the storm, I mean, this thing's projected to kind of just churn over the Bahamas and just stay there for a while and then make that turn north. And so I initially was thinking
is Sunday morning, good enough? But I think it probably still gives them plenty of time to do it. And I think that's really what we're going to be looking for in terms of the forecast is when does it start the turn north? If it starts to turn north sooner rather than later in terms of on its track, well, then that's going to be better for Florida. If it keeps chugging towards the coast and does that late turn, then we get in a situation where we could have interactions with the actual hurricane force winds, and that will cause a lot of damage if that runs up the coast, and that will be a very big threat to people who live on those islands. The Bahamas are going to get absolutely leveled by this thing because this thing's a strong storm. The Bahamas are flat. They got no defense to this storm, and it's going to churn over there. It's going to dump perhaps 2 feet of rain on the Bahamas. There ain't a lot of good places to evacuate in the Bahamas. I mean, so say a prayer for the people there because they're about to face something that's mighty strong.
From county officials about when they do plan to make that determination then now, given that the storm is slowing and you guys still have some uncertainty?
Yeah, Jared's been in contact. You want to speak to that?
Thank you, Governor. So they're still executing on their plans, and in our consultation with them is if look, you're in the cone, you should continue to move with the plans you had just the other day. Because look, as we've seen, right, this storm has just continued to bounce to the east, it bounces to the west. That's really the history of the storm. So they're still sticking with their plans.
So we'll be back tomorrow to do another update. Obviously, for Floridians, continue to prepare, be prepared, be vigilant. Watch this and listen to your local folks. I'd love to be able to report that more of the state is outside of the cone tomorrow. But as you know, these things, this storm could go as far east as that cone, but if it goes as far west as the cone has, that is going to impact us in a very, very big way. So we want to be prepared for that eventuality, and we want to be ready for it. Meanwhile, we can all, hope that